All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Early Bird Special, episode number 2, brought to you by Bold Daily Picks. Follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube for more daily content. I'm your host, Dan Reed. We're going to get into a couple different things today, some more Western Conference, playoffs or no playoffs, a breakdown of today's picks, another big day today all across the board. And then we're going to talk about a little bit right now what happened last night in the NHL. We went 6-3, really should have been 8-1. I got aggressive with Philly and Tampa. Both were picked to cover. Both teams won, but it wasn't a shootout, so obviously it didn't cover there. So 8-1 straight up, 6-3 with the number when we used it. NHL's been, I'm never going to use the word easy, but NHL's been a little bit more predictable than in years past. I think there's a couple teams that I bought into more early that have kind of started to fall off or just never picked up. Nashville being one of the ones that never picked up. LA and Chicago being teams that have kind of started to fall off. When you look at these teams like Chicago and the Kings, who are really outperforming expectations, you got to look at a couple of factors. What was the initial thing that was making them succeed? With both teams in this scenario, it was their special teams. Both were ranked top 5, top 7 in both power play and penalty kill, and both have been horrendous the past 5 to 7 days. Hawks still being able to squeeze out some wins, but I think both of those are going to turn into a fade pretty quickly here, but something to keep an eye on. Now for the Western Conference yes or no playoffs. We got a couple more games. It's a little bit similar to the Eastern Conference yesterday, where that top 5, 6 kind of locked in. Going to be some movement throughout, but I think the 6 teams that are up there are going to stay up there. Maybe the Trailblazers fall out to 7-8 slot, but I don't see that happening. So first team up, we got San Antonio. They're going to be a no for me at minus 141 on DraftKings. They're coached, obviously, like a well-oiled machine, but they just don't have the talent. DeMar DeRozan, a good player. Analytics-wise in today's NBA, ugh. You know, I mean, they got some aging players. They got some young guards that don't really fit in today's game except as just role players and glue guys. But they've been able to win up to this point. I think they're going to be one of those teams down the stretch, get into the nitty-gritty against some tough opponents. I think they fall off hard. Next up, we got Golden State. Definitely on the outside looking in right now at 9th. But I just think every time that team plays, I think they grow a little bit more. I think the chemistry between Steph and some of these younger guys is starting to grow. I think Steph, a little bit like a Luka Doncic, is due to break out into a crazy stretch. He always does, always has, and probably always will. So I like the Warriors down the stretch. I think they got a lot of experience still between, even if you look at somebody like Steve Kerr. I mean, he's been there, done that. So going down the stretch, playing in tough games, I like Golden State there. Moving on to Memphis here. This one's tough for me. Memphis, I wanted to say yes. I mean, but unfortunately, there's only 8 top playoff spots. Memphis is just young. You look at guys like John Morant and Jaren Jackson, great players, but it's just going to be tough for them down the stretch. Moving on to Dallas here. Dallas, I have yes, and they're actually minus 400 on DraftKings. That's a little bit of a stretch for me. I don't think they're a virtual lock to make the playoffs. I just think Luka Doncic will prevail as time goes on. A lot of people liked him to win MVP coming into this season. That's definitely fallen off, but he's due for a crazy stretch like I talked about earlier. And like I said, for the Western Conference, that'll pretty much do it. I could see a team like New Orleans making a run. I just think maybe a little bit like last year, they're just going to come up short. Zion's going to be terrific. The man, Van Gundy's got them playing in the right direction. I just think it takes time. It takes time. A little bit like the Bulls with Billy Donovan. You got to be patient with this thing. But now into the picks for tonight. Got a couple of NBA games back in action. We got the Washington Wizards traveling to Memphis to take on the Grizzlies. In this one, I like Washington. I spoke on it in yesterday's episode. I'm going to back Washington. I think Beal and Westbrook have something in their sleeve they haven't showed us yet. Not intentionally, just better plays yet to come from them, I believe. San Antonio at Dallas. This is a tough one, but back to the same prediction we made earlier in the episode. Can't talk today. I think Dallas is going to break out, and San Antonio, when you look at their roster, it's outside of Popovich and outside of a guy like DeRozan when he is able to drop that 26 or 27. It's tough to bet on them. It is. Moving on over to college basketball action, we got Sacramento State at Northern Colorado. I know you're probably saying, who the fuck is the who? Sacramento State's a little bit of a dog in this one, but I like them. A little bit of rapid fire here. NC State at Syracuse. If you're betting against the Orange in March, you're drunk. I'll take Syracuse to cover 2.5. Miami at Clemson. I'll take Miami plus 8.5. It's a lot of points for March. It really is. I mean, those teams aren't that unbalanced. I think Clemson's the better team, but like I said, in a tournament game, I'll take the 8.5 points on my side. Moving over to the NHL, where we crushed it yesterday. Absolutely crushed it. Like I said, should have been 8-1, but we went 6-3. Going to bring you 5 quick winners here. We got Vegas at Minnesota. Give me Vegas. Keep riding them out. Ottawa at Edmonton. I'll take the Oilers. Ottawa stinks. Arizona at Colorado. Arizona got the best of Colorado. I don't see it happening again. Give me Colorado money line. Kings at the Ducks, like I spoke on earlier, on some of these teams starting to fall off a little bit. Give me Anaheim again. I think Kings are struggling to put it in the back of the net right now, and I think Anaheim maybe kind of starts to build back up to somewhere near 500 hockey. Montreal at Vancouver. I think Montreal is the better team, but Vancouver's red hot right now, so we're going to ride them out. And that'll do it for the picks, guys. Make sure to head over to our Instagram, give us a follow there. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow.